Welcome to Advisory Conversations with Tim Seymour and Deb Halliday. This podcast is for accounting professionals and financial coaches who are ready to step beyond compliance and into advisory. Because real advisory isn't about doing more yourself. It's about building something that works without you being the bottleneck.
Hello and welcome again to another episode of Advisory Conversations, and I am joined as always with my trusty partner Deb. Deb, how are you today?
I'm really well, thanks, Tim.
I'm good. Well, Deb, today we're going to talk about a business course library, which I think is one of our most valuable resources and something that you created after you sold your practice, didn't you? So I'm going to take you right back, if that's okay, right back in time, right to the very beginning, to when the seeds started to form in your mind about what this ended up being, because everything starts somewhere, and generally it starts with the seeds of a problem, I would say. So yeah, I've seen your APX has got a parrot, for instance, as a logo. We've talked about before the reason why we've got a parrot on our logo. So do you want to kind of start at the beginning and tell us a little bit about how the business course library formulated in your mind?
Yeah, sure. So I started my practice back in 2008. It was like a lot of people around the kitchen table, around the kids, part-time. And when I first started, like everybody, I was looking for clients. And I started realizing that the type of clients that I was speaking to had lots of questions. They didn't really understand the process. So I had obviously trained as a bookkeeper and I understand all the technical aspects. But then myself, I had to go on back in the day when it was in person HMRC courses to understand the HMRC processes. And I've just found that I was repeatedly answering the same questions to the clients because they didn't have any knowledge. And I thought, well, why are you asking me? And it was because there was no central point for business owners to go and learn about business processes, other than the HMRC website, which who wants to navigate that? It's absolutely awful. So, so I found myself just repeating the same answers. And the more I repeated them, in exactly the same way, parrot fashion, because I got to understand the questions that were going to be asked, the questions that the answer would lead to, the areas that they didn't understand or maybe had misunderstood. And I just, the terminology that would land properly with them, the explanations that you can see when somebody's got it or when somebody glazes over. So I realized that I was just repeating myself, and I started to wish that I had a resource that I could send them to get the basic education of business processes that they needed, and that wasn't widely available. And I suppose because my previous job had been working for a training company in central London, it naturally fell to training courses, because it didn't ever really want just a PDF of the answers to send somebody, because who reads them? You know, if you can just pick up the phone and ask a question, you'll pick up the phone and ask a question rather than reading a lengthy document to try and find the question that you want answered and the answer on it. You're just not going to do it. People are busy. But a short mini course that's interactive lands much better, and the knowledge sits much better. So it would free up my time. So I never got time to do it. So it was lots of questions, particularly around things like what happens when I hit the VAT threshold, and I found myself saying, well, explaining what VAT is and that it's not your money, you can't spend it. It's when you hit a certain threshold, the government make you a tax collector, which is a VAT collector, but they don't pay you for this, and they know that there's a certain amount of admin, But what they do instead to compensate you is they allow you to deduct the VAT that you have spent. And that's their compensation. So you must collect it, but not spend it, because the VAT man will be coming to collect it. And there's that type of answer to the question. And then I would explain how it worked. Like the 7 day after the month end, etc., and every quarter. So it was that kind of question. It was things like, I don't know how to read a profit and loss, or what is a P&L. So I would answer, it's in 3 sections. What you've got coming in, what you've got going out, and what's left over. That's it. It's your trading statement. The money you've got coming in, all the money you've got going out, and what you've got left over. And the balance sheet is also 3 sections. What you own, what you owe, and what's left over. So, and cash flow, I used to explain as future bank statements. So your bank statements tell you what you had and coming in and going out the previous month. A cash flow tells you what you've got coming in and going out for the next period, whether it's a month, 3 months, 6 months, however long. But that's your cash flow, and that's how they understood. So, I mean, I still repeat it, still know these things. So that's like every bookkeeper, every accountant. But after 17 years of repeating the same answers, like when I sold my bookkeeping practice, I spent the time to make the resource, because even though I no longer needed it, I knew it was desperately needed, because it would just take time and time and time to answer these questions over and over again, because they'd start with one question thinking, I'm just going to pick up the phone, ask Deb this one question. Then it was just lead into another question and another question and another question. And before you know it, you've spent 20 minutes explaining a process and what they need to do. And they don't want to pay you for it, because it was just a quick phone call to ask you a quick question. Well, if you get 2 or 3 of those a day, it eats into hourly pay, doesn't it? So, and nobody wants to turn somebody away and not answer their questions. They need to know. They're really valuable questions, and it's good that they're asking, because it's actually worse when they're not asking, because they'll just run away and do things as they see fit, and then we have to tidy it up and clean it up afterwards and correct them. So I welcome the questions, but I wish I had a resource to utilize my time a bit better.
I don't think there cannot be one accountant or bookkeeping practice owner listening to this that does not recognize this situation, because it's a constant. I can remember the phone ringing, the question, the phone ringing, the question, the phone ringing, the question. And it's just like a cycle of answering all these questions from all these different clients. And you feel like banging your head against the wall, if we're honest, because you think, not, oh, this conversation again, but it's with a different client. So it's not that client's fault. Another client's asked this the week before and you're having to repeat yourself. It's not their fault at all. And like you said, it's good that they're actually asking the question, because they're trying to do the right thing. They're trying to learn. And we're the person they're going to ask, because, we're the person they trust. We deliver their statutory accounts. We deliver their, their tax returns. So they come to us as that trusted person. But yeah, it's not something that is seen as a chargeable response, is it, by many of us? Certainly wasn't by me. I classed it as customer service. Now, some people might charge for answering questions, because they might charge by timesheets, the old traditional high street accountant way. But a majority of people wouldn't be charging for this. And like you say, if you have 3 queries a day, productivity has gone out the window, because not just the time you're on the call, it's then getting your mind back to where you were before you answered the call, because you've been interrupted partway through trying to perhaps work something out. And we can't afford to make mistakes in our line of business. So we have to then kind of move away and step into what we were doing again and get our heads back into gear. So Deb, you kind of You kind of identified the problem quite early, and in your back of your mind, you wanted to build a resource, but you didn't really have the time to do that whilst running the business.
No, no, I just didn't have the time. And to be fair, once the conversation was over, I went straight back to what I was doing
Yeah.
that needed my attention. And it would be only when I got asked another question that I found myself repeating, and I would remind myself that I really need to do that resource so that I could send them, a link or to a web page where they could see the answers to their questions. We did develop what we called a quick query service so that it was cut down the amount of time. And the quick query service was free with all our packages. But the quick query was anything that we could answer within 10 minutes or less that didn't take any further research or any additional work. That was included in their package. But it was done via a WhatsApp message, and we would answer within a certain time frame. So it wasn't a case of phone us and then be on the phone for 20 minutes. It was 10 minutes or less. Anything over that was chargeable. Okay. So that was my way of trying to reduce the time spent on free education, essentially, because it's quite difficult for the client to understand the difference between questions that you answer for free, which are educational, to advisory questions that should be a fee. So if you're used to answering all the questions for free, doesn't matter how long they take you, to try and transition to charge a client for advisory work is quite difficult because they don't understand the difference. And they think, well, you do this for free. Why are you now charging me? And it causes a bit of resentment. So, because it's unexpected. So if you set the precedent first, there's 10 minutes free education and then advisory that will take extra work and it's bespoke to your particular business, then that's a fee. But as I say, one step further is education via this resource is free. Advisory, where I answer, is a fee.
Yeah. Makes perfect sense. And so you got yourself in a position where you were able to sell your practice to your team, mainly because your team had learned to take over all of the duties from you, including delivering advisory to clients.
Yeah.
Just thought I'd highlight that one again. And once you'd done that, you had some free time on your hands, obviously. I know you were helping me with another project in the background. So what did you do? What did you do with this free time once you had it?
I built what I now call the business course library, which is a resource to answer all the questions. It started off with 20, and the courses they range from 2 lessons to 6, but they don't take very long. They are interactive, not video led, because the idea is that the accountant or bookkeeper remains the trusted advisor.
Yeah.
You don't want to give your clients a resource with my face plastered over it, answering questions because they don't know me.
Yeah.
They should know the accountant or bookkeeper or any of the team. And they're interactive. So with video led tutorials, you can quite easily walk away and listen to it like a podcast, and you're not absorbing the information. And you'll miss a lot of what's going on because not very many people sit and just watch a presentation. They always are doing something else or they get distracted. So I wanted to do it. So it's based in adult learning as well. And that's something that I learned with my previous career. Adult learning, they have to have it relatable to themselves, scenario based, specific to their, to what, and it needs to be interactive. So they need to do something to move on to the next part. So for instance, if you click on something, it might turn around and give you the answer, or it might drop down a menu that gives you the answer. You might have to answer a couple of questions to get to the next stage. But it was all based around the questions that we get asked, and it'd be VAT or CIS responsibilities. What happens when you employ somebody? So it's all the PAYE. And I did it in categories, and the categories we have are starting a business, and 3 that I can remember off the top of my head are trade or limited company, which is a question that we get asked all the time. And within that course, it goes through the differences between a sole trader and a limited company, and the benefits and pitfalls of both, so that the client can make an informed decision of which one is best for them. We've got first 90 days of starting a business, what to do in the 90 days, with a plan that they download at the end, so they can have like a mini roadmap for the first 90 days of everything that they've got to get sorted. And then there's a shorter one, which is just starting a business in the UK. So if they just want to know the regulations of who to inform, which taxes apply to them, how to have a government gateway, etc. So there's 3 in there. That's the starting a business. We've got best practice, which more things like efficient cash flows, eliminating debt, difference between good debt and bad debt, all different processes, how to read zero reports or reports in QuickBooks. We've got an end of year processes section. We've got HMRC and all the different taxes and regulations for HMRC and which ones apply to different types of businesses. So it started off with 20, but there's 1 a month drip fed. I think we're up to 27 now. So yeah, things like salary sacrifice, or what causes financial stress, and how to eliminate it. So there's a whole range of different subjects in there. But yeah, they're drip fed. There's also a section within there. So if you're getting asked a question regularly that isn't currently in the business course library, you can request it, and it will be considered. And if it's a relevant question for a lot of people, then we'll create it. But we do one for UK and currently Ireland as well, because we had the request for Ireland. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal resource, and I want to highlight to the listeners that it's aimed to the client. So it's aimed to the business owners to be able to learn and understand and get the answers to their questions, but in a way that is simple to learn. And that's what I like about it. The whole concept is broken down into small steps so that they can just follow the process through. As you said, it's interactive, and it is interactive in different ways in different parts, isn't it? So it's not all following the same pattern, so it doesn't become, familiar in a way. It's kind of like, different things for them to do, so that they can learn. And the beauty of that is the time it's going to save for the accountant or bookkeeping practice owner that allows their client to access, this library of huge resource. It's also easy for them to navigate around, and which is key. So it's simplicity is probably the key word for this, isn't it? Because the clients of accounting and bookkeeping practice owners or practices are non-financial people in the main. They're specialists in the field of what they deliver to their customers and everything they do. They're the experts in, but when it comes to the financial side, as we know, they need support, they need help, they have questions. And so imagine being able to say to a customer that has a question, have a look at this resource, search for that. You'll be able to find the answers to what you're looking for. Let me know if you've got any more questions, and they can just go straight into there, and they can find the answer, learn, and then potentially they can revisit it again at a later date if they need to reinforce their education or remind themselves of what they learned, because we're not expecting them to, it's not exam tested, so they have to remember everything they've learned, but they've got access to go back to it, haven't they? Which
Yeah.
allows then the practice owner to step back and not have their time sucked away and consumed by answering all these questions repetitively.
Yeah.
So I think it's a phenomenal resource for people to use. And
Yeah.
that was the intention, wasn't it, Dan?
Yeah, and there's a couple of ways that you can use it. So the way it's housed, because it's interactive, it's not an MP4 or an MP3. So you're unable to download it, but they're housed on a developer website. So we give, you can give individual courses to your clients via a link. It's via an URL. Or we've housed them on a web page, so you can give them access to the full web page. We've got some users that include small selection for people that are just starting a business, and they have them within an email, so the links go out in an email funnel. We've got others that include them in their tiered packages, so they might get access to a certain amount within the lower tier, and then full access in the top tier. And then we've got people that just want them on the web page, so that they have, and you can actually link that web page to your own web page. I mean, they're all password protected, so it's you can either charge for them, or you can include it in your packages. So if you increased your packages, for instance, by £10 or whatever, that would cover the cost of the business course library. But yeah, we wanted to make it as flexible as possible, and also it means that we can withdraw some when regulations change. So you're not, because they can't download them just due to the file type. There's no danger of them having an old, out of date course available. So yeah, we've got a regular schedule where we keep up to date, and we update them and exchange the link for updated version when the budget happens, etc.
And you've had some practice owners already use the business course library
Yeah,
and share some of the content with their customers. And what sort of feedback
it's been
have we had
amazing.
there?
Yeah, it's been incredible. I'm delighted that it's been received so well. But everybody has the same issue. Everybody has the same problem. I knew that I wouldn't be the only person that's being asked all these questions. So yeah, I mean it's been fantastic. I mean, to the point where when I gave a demo of the UK version, somebody asked me to specifically create a version for Ireland, which we did. But yeah, it's been amazing. Some people are using it within business clubs. Some people are using it as a free resource with webinars, etc. So it's being used, and it's been really well received, which is great.
It's interesting because it's actually, when you explain it like that, it's being used in a reactive manner to be able to answer questions that the clients have,
Mm,
but it's also being used in a very proactive manner
yes.
with people setting up business clubs that they're inviting their clients to come along to and discussing the topics before the questions come, which I
Yeah.
think is a fantastic way to use. You know, we're all for proactiveness, aren't we? The way that we are
Yeah.
with everything we do. So I think that's a great way. And delivering webinars as well. You're providing education, and it gives you all the topics you need to be able to hook new customers into your business as
Yeah.
well. So it's kind of like all these different ways and methods that it can be used. So even though it was set up originally as a resource to solve the problem of being asked all the repetitive questions, it's interesting that it's actually developed into something that's become a proactive model for people to use as well.
Yeah, it's a step into advisory,
Yeah.
because it's building your authority, it's answering the questions that are so common questions. But if you can do that in a structured way, in a proactive way, then that opens the door to we do more than just bookkeeping. We do more than just your VAT return. Um, so yeah, we do education as well as and advisory. So it puts you as the trusted advisor, but without you offering your time and answering educational questions for free.
And for a practice owner, if you were to charge your clients a small amount a month to be able to access the library and to be able to answer these questions and learn and have this education, it would more than cover the costs of being able to access and provide the business course library to your clients. Why shouldn't they pay to have access to that education? But we're talking a
Yeah,
few pounds a month, and suddenly you're covering all of your costs. So to me,
yeah.
it's a no-brainer. If someone's interested in finding out more about the business course library, Deb, what can they do?
Well, I would suggest that they first of all join our Facebook group, which is Advisory Teams. You can get there by facebook.com/groups/advisory teams. But we are actually combining the business course library within our advisory teams program. So you have access to that resource within our advisory teams program, which is our advisory training program, essentially, taking you from technician to advisor through the leadership to building your advisory team, and then us training your advisory team members. So yeah, it's part of that resource. It's the first step to separating education, which is free, to advisory, which is a fee. And yeah, it's part of our offering, isn't it?
It certainly is. It certainly is. And I was thrilled when we came into our partnership and set up APX that you were so willing to bring the business course library in
Absolutely.
as part of our offer. So yeah, it's an amazing resource, and as Deb says, it links in so beautifully with all of our training programs that we've put together on, again, through e-learning platforms, but also through delivering workshops ourselves. So yeah, anyone wants to find out more, advisory teams on Facebook, come and join our community on there. Find out more about us. Once you're in there, you can jump on some of our crosses and coffee sessions, on which we hold on Tuesday mornings at 9 o'clock and Thursday evenings at 7 o'clock. And you're all very welcome to come and join as long as you're a practice owner and you're looking to move into the world of advisory, and in the future perhaps think about, maybe building a team that delivers advisory with you or for you. So thanks for joining us, Deb. Amazing to hear the whole story about the business course library, where the ideas formed so long ago and how they've now come to fruition. And with people using them with their clients, it's become an amazing resource, and it's just going to grow and grow and grow. I think more and more practice owners are going to want this resource. So thanks for sharing, Deb.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks for listening to Advisory Conversations with Tim Seymour and Deb Halliday. If you found this useful, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next episode. We'll see you next time.